topics. So last month was our first of the series, where we talked about some historical background or the need of agility in historical and current context. Today we are going to be focusing on agile values and principles. So quick introduction of me and Haitham. So my name is Mohammed Jamil. I'm based in Bahrain. I'm originally from Pakistan, and I've been working in GCC for about 8 years now, mostly working with banks and fintechs. I'm a project manager who transitioned to Agile over the years. I'm a professional Scrum Master, and I've done a lot of courses in Agile and Agile coaching especially. I'm Agile trainer as well with IC Agile, and my technical expertise are from development. I am from development background, and I still love development. I still do it on and off. So this is my brief introduction. I will switch to Haitham. Haitham, if you can just.
Yes. I'm Haitham Ahmed. I'm CTO in Cegedim, Egypt. My role actually in Cegedim is aligning the values and the strategy of the company with the execution teams. I have 15 plus years of experience in product development, and this is actually covering banking, payment solutions, telecommunications, government solutions, healthcare, and so on. I'm a knowledge worker. I have deep experience, technical experience, and architecture or solutions architecture experience. And also I have experience in product management. I'm certified Agile product owner, and I have master's degree in business information technology. Also, I have a lot of experience in applying lightweight Agile practices. I'm certified Agile coach, and also I'm certified Agile practitioner, and also facilitator, and a trainer also, a certified trainer. So this is a brief about myself.
Thank you, Haitham. All right, so some quick highlights from our last session, just a recap. Haitham, can you explain what did we discuss about out of crisis and new product development came?
Yeah, sure. So in the previous session, we talk about stories. One of them is actually the Japanese industry story, and how after Japan was hit by the nuclear bomb in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and they don't have any resources, and there were poverty actually in Japan, and there is a huge debt, and how Edward Demings participated actually in educating the Japanese industry and working towards delivering products with high quality, and this is actually was the most important thing in Japan. They don't have any resources, but actually they have only quality to deliver things with very, very high quality. And when they have done this, they actually delivered a lot of products, and the demands become very, very high, because actually the customers were very, very highly satisfied about the products. And this is actually fueled the industry with more products. So this was something very, very important, to work with high quality. And then we spoke also about the new product development game, where this a business case applied in a solution that is applied in a lot of business case. One of them is the Honda City, where the management give the engineers high level goals to deliver a car for the youth, and the engineers formed a cross-functional team, and they are thoughting together how to deliver such a car, and it was a huge success. Then Jamil, would you please speak about the XP and the Scrum?
Yes, so these two initial points, which are explained by Haitham, they were the kind of a problem statement, which were the problems or the part of the problems the people at that time were facing. We are talking about the era which was around 1980s or 1990s. So different people from different industries started coming up with the answers, especially the software industry or IT industry. So some of the individuals working in the IT industry, two people in particular, um, I think Kent Ben, and there was one, I just forgot the name. They were working in Honda, and they were working on a IT project, and they basically were struggling with the project, with the deliverables, and the quality of the product. So they came up with a practice called extreme programming. This was mainly aimed at, um, as the name suggests, programming, how to do pair programming, and do smaller iterations, roll out releases quickly, and deliver quality. So this was actually announced in a book in 1996 by these two gentlemen, with the name of Introduction to Extreme Programming, and then this became a very popular agile um framework, you can say, or methodology. So this was the now even right now this is applicable, and it is applied in a lot of industries, not only on IT, even though its name still is extreme programming, but people now call it XP, and it is still widely used agile methodology in different industries. Similarly, two other gentlemen came up with Jeff Sutherland and Ken. They came up with another methodology. They were also working in IT industry, and they were also facing similar kind of problems. So their focus was mainly on the delivery and the teams. So they came up with another framework, and they called it Scrum. They took the idea from this new product development game article that was published in 1986. So there was a word mentioned, Scrum, in that article. So they took an inspiration from there, and then they started working on some practices and principles, and they came up with a set of values and principles, and they called it Scrum, which mainly focuses on how a team can be self-organized to deliver quality results and values to the business. So this is called Scrum. That we discussed in detail about the evolution of Scrum, what kind of stages it went through. Now today we have Scrum at scale and other Scrum frameworks which are implemented on a very large scale. So these were the two main examples we discussed in the last event. There are more. Scrum, by the way, is one of the widely used agile framework as of now in the entire world. As per there is a survey that is published every year, the State of Agile survey, which is one of the most credible survey for agile. As per them, about 86% of the agile projects all across the industries worldwide are done using Scrum. So this is the level of or scale of Scrum implementation as of today. So this is the most widely used framework when it comes to agile methodologies. So we explored both of these in detail in the last session. And then we also saw what was the need of agility in historic and today's context. So some of these were like historical triggers that were demanding the need of agility, and some are in the context of today's world. Actually, some are still applicable, even though they were of historical, they are still applicable to today. So competition was the first one. Haitham, you wanna pick this up?
Yeah. So actually, the competition is actually if we are working in products and you have a lot of competition, then you have to deliver things faster than the competition, and you have to deliver things also acceptable for the customers that you are delivering the product to. So the competition is actually raising, and actually also you're going to have like global competition, and you have different market segments. So we have to act fast, and you have to experiment a lot and adjust your roadmap and strategy. So the competition raised actually the need of agility. And then we have the built-in quality. Jamil, you can discuss this.
Yeah. So similarly, like these two were what the points we took from the historical perspective. So if you go back to 1980s. This was the industrial revolution which was happening, and the world was coming out of a recession period. So the competition was very tough, and there were a lot of new competitors were coming into play, and the time to market was becoming very important. And another thing which was becoming very decisive in competing in the market was the built-in quality. So any solution which you have to provide to the customers, it should have the quality embedded, or quality was the defining factor. How you can make your product better than what the competitor is offering. Um, so the faster rate to market, how to outpace the competitors, or how to outmatch the competitors by offering better quality. These were the things which were like the main key factors that were triggering the need of agility back then, and it still applies to today's market, because now with the globalization, with technology, we are kind of becoming a global village. So that means your solutions are not only locally focused; you have a wider range of market to cover. You have wider audience, wider competition. So these things will apply even in today's context. Hi, the next one.
Yeah. So also previously there was like labors, and there was people that's doing the thinking and people that are only doing things. But now actually it's different. We have knowledge workers now, and everyone is thinking and it's doing the work, and also contributing in the thinking and the design and the strategy and so on. So we now need the wisdom of the group. Things are changing very, very fast, and we need the thoughts of everyone in the team. Okay, no one can actually get the thing actually by himself, or understand the problem by himself. He should collaborate with the team, and they have to think together to act fast. Okay, so having this kind of knowledge workers also showed that we can move towards agility.
Yeah, the things like, for example, cross-functional teams, or jack of all kind of thing. So now we don't have people. Most of the people in team are not like specific to one task only. Everybody gets to do different things. So people are with technology. People are becoming more tech savvy. With technology, people are becoming more informative, more aware, more up to date. So that comes with, so it's the evolution of the workers as well, which ties to my next point as well, the VUCA world. So the world today is very volatile, unpredictable, complex. So we are living in a VUCA world, which means there are a lot of things to be considered when it comes to need of agility, because agile is something which delivers or helps deliver better results in this uncertain or complex environment. VUCA is a very detailed topic, so I will just leave it there, and then we'll just switch to next point.
Yeah. So next point, with all of this complexity, you have to be customer centric. Okay, so you have to understand your customer, you have to understand your segments, and you have to deliver things based on experimentation and based on learning, and there will be a lot of continuous improvement. And this is, of course, being customer-centric and delivering things that the customer need in the most simplest way. This is actually raised also the need of agility. So let's move to the next point, data explosion.
So with the information revolution, with technology, we have tons of data to work with. So we call it data explosion. Actually, we are in the information revolution period now, where information is critical. So that means all of our solutions, all of our products, we have a lot of considerations. We have a lot of data to work with to make decisions. This also adds to the complexity, adds to the uncertainty. We need to see what is trending, what are the forecasts for the market. These things help us determine users' behaviors. For example, customer-centric products, how customers are behaving or interacting, what kind of data or what kind of stuff they are engaged with. So we take smart decisions. That means we have to take decisions very quickly. We have to adjust to things very quickly in a timely manner, and things change very often. So this whole data explosion, this whole data revolution demands us to work more in agile manner, because if you are doing a project as per the book and things are changing in the market every day, by the time you will be done with your product, it will be kind of irrelevant. So that's why data explosion or use of data or information is very important nowadays. Globalization.
Yeah, for globalization, actually, and the whole world become a small village, and actually you can do a product, and many users from different parts of the world will use it, and this is for sure will increase the demand and the request of changes, and a lot of customizations should be there, and also this will raise the bar of, between the competitors, and of course all of this will increase the complexity and will increase the need of agility. So
Yeah.
let's move to the
Yeah.
last point.
Last but not the least, digital disruption, especially with the COVID around. Even the people who were reluctant to switch to technology, they are now forced to use the technology. And this is a very good example for us, how technology can change the way everybody works and everything is done. So now the solutions are digital at core. Even if we are seeing terms like fintech, financial technology, even with banking, all industries, there has to be technology or digitization at the core, because this is where the world is going to. So that also demands, since we are talking about digital, we are talking about IT. And if you remember, IT was the first industry that switched to agile. So that's why more need of agility. So these were some of the key drivers. Of course, this is not all of it, but some of the key things that demand the need of agility, why organizations or individuals need to start looking towards agile to solve these problems. All right, so this was our last session, a quick recap of that. So let's come to our today's topic, which is discussing what actually agile is. So before we jump into the Agile Manifesto, just a quick recap. So in 2001, actually, if we go further back in 1986, there was a article, very famous article published in one of the magazines, Harvard Business Reviews, that made a lot of buzz all around the world. What happened was they listed down some problems, and then they came up with an idea of finding new ways how things can be done at the workplace. That was kind of like us. So people at that time were usually struggling with the old ways, which is traditional project management. Um, so this triggered thoughts in the minds of a lot of individuals working in different companies, and they started thinking about, yes, this needs to change. The way we are working, the way the strict processes and policies are implemented, and changes are not allowed. So this makes the whole project very difficult, and most of the projects were behind schedule. They were not able to meet the targets. So there was a need to come up with something. So that actually led to, fast forward to 2001 February, 17 people, mostly from IT industry, came together in US, and they signed a document. They came up with 4 values and 12 principles, and they named it as Agile Manifesto. Now, bear in mind that this was mostly these 17 people, almost all of them were from IT industry, and they actually named it as Agile Manifesto of Software Development. The reason I don't have that term here, because now 21 years on, this is not only applicable to software industry or IT industry. This is now widely used in other industries as well. So now that's why we call it Agile Manifesto. Uh, so they came up with 4 values, 12 principles that kind of gave us a guideline of how a workplace or an organization should function. So this is a very high level skeleton that gives us the roadmap. And then based on this, people came up with different agile frameworks. We will discuss them in next events as well. So back to Agile Manifesto. So the four main values of Agile Manifesto are individuals and interactions over processes and tools. What we are saying here is we are not saying the processes or tools are not needed or they are bad or they are something which is useless. They are still important, they are still needed, but it's the people who deliver the product, not the tools and processes. This is something which needs to be very clearly explained and understood by everyone working in the organization. No matter you have the best tools in the world available, your project can still fail because if your people are not able to use them, or the people who are not able to understand how to use them, those best tools are kind of useless. It's the people who are going to deliver the product, not the tools and processes. You can implement hundreds of best available tools, but if your people are not skilled enough, not up to the mark, nothing will happen. So that's why what Agile Manifesto says, that the focus should be more on the individuals or the teams and the interactions between the team, or other than focusing more on processes and tools. So this was a kind of a problem that traditionally people were very focused on tools and processes, implementing the right standards and policies and procedures, and they would overlook the individual's part. So these four statements actually have problem and the answer to that problem as well. So the problem is the people used to traditionally focus more on implementing right tools and processes and procedures and standards. Instead of that, they should focus more on building a team, having a good team, and how to retain that team, and how the interactions between that team can be done. So this is the first one. Haitham, please feel free if you want to add anything. Just you can jump in.
Yeah. So actually, also as we said, in the need of the agility, that things become very, very complex, and it's very difficult for someone to decide by himself. It needs the team to think together and finally reach the suitable solution, because there is a lot of changes and we have a lot of data and we have to act very, very fast. So that's why the wisdom of the group is very, very critical in a product development that has a huge uncertainty. Okay, so let's move to the next point.
Yeah. So another problem and the solution: working product over customer comprehensive document. So this point was actually working software, but we rephrased it to working product because, as I said, it's not only focused on the software industries now. It's widely applied on different other industries. So that's why a working product over comprehensive documentation. What happened traditionally was people spend months, if not years, only for requirement analysis, requirement gathering, and project planning. And then they would realize, because of the changing market or because of the changing scenarios around that, the product which they were building, there are a lot of external parameters which are not in their hand, and they are changing now. We are now, especially today, we are now in a VUCA world. Imagine a product which you are planning to develop and you have spent 1 year developing that without considering what is happening in the market. So you are following your plan, and 1 year down the lane, you realize that your market is not applicable. Your product is not applicable for the market now. Especially in the COVID situation right now. Can you estimate something with 100% or 80% confidence for something which is going to happen in about 6 months from here onwards? No, we cannot, because the things are very volatile right now. Volatile. For example, we don't know what kind of new variant is going to come up in 6 months, what kind of travel restrictions, what kind of other restrictions are going to be there. So our estimates are not that mature. So that demands us to focus less on these comprehensive documentations, break them down. Again, we are not saying that the documentation is not good or it's something bad. It's like we just need to spend enough time that is required on the documentation and then focus more on the development of the product. Break the product down to smaller deliverables, roll it out, and then scale it. This is the idea. So you go for the prototyping, have a working prototype, working product, and then you build on top of it till it matures and becomes the final product. And then whatever document is required along the way, you do that documentation. That is not something which we are saying that cannot be done or should not be done. But the comprehensive documentation, you spend months and months documenting things, and then you realize you have to go back and change them again. That means we are spending a lot of time, a lot of energies on the documentation instead of building the actual product. So this was the second point. Haitham, any comments from your side?
Yeah, for this point specifically is about adopting a product mindset, not a project mindset, that where you are doing a lot of experimentation and you are collecting a lot of data, and based on delivering incremental products and working iteratively to do this, instead of doing a lot of thinking and delivering nothing, and finally you deliver something at the end like a big bang product, and the customers actually will give like a bad feedback about it. So since we are uncertain about the value, then we have to have a strategy where we deliver things incrementally and iteratively, and then decide based on the data. Okay, so this is the being using empirical process to understand the data and decide based on the data.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
So the third point is customer collaboration over contract negotiations. So traditionally, customers were thought of as money-making machines who are just going to finance stuff or fund the project, and they are just going to pay, and everything else is with us. We just take the requirement from them, and we just take their go ahead, get the approvals on the plans, get the payment, and then we will just give them the product when it's done. That is not the case anymore. The customers today are way more educated and way more informed than they used to be. And so this is what we discussed in last session as well. With the information revolution, everybody is tech savvy, everybody is information, and everybody has information at their disposal with just one tap of the finger. So customers are no longer dumb. The customers are very informative, and they demand their engagement throughout the project development lifecycle. That means the customer collaboration becomes like kind of a decisive factor if you are delivering a good product or not. So instead, now customer today doesn't want to wait till the end of the project or end of the project plan and you go back to him with the final product. They want to be involved in all the processes. So there has to be continuous customer collaboration, and everything needs to be built based on their feedback. So traditionally, we would just focus to negotiate prices with the customers, and that was mostly it. But today that is not the case. The customers are way more engaged throughout the life cycle of the project, and their feedbacks, their collaboration, their approvals, they become way more important than it ever used to be. So back in 2001, they came up with this, and today we are seeing this. They said customer collaboration has to be placed over contract negotiation. So customer has to be involved throughout the whole process. Haitham, your thoughts?
Yeah. So also in this uncertainty environment, you need to have a long-term relationship with the customer, and you have to know that the customer will not know what he needs exactly. Okay, so he cannot cover this in a contract. So you're going to have a long-term journey with your customer, exploring actually the value and trying together till you reach maturity in understanding the value and the requirements. Okay, so that's why it's very important to have customer collaboration while you have uncertainty, a huge uncertainty in the product development. And the contracts actually will be a constraint for the agility. Contracts are very important, but it has to be written in a way to actually encourage agility and encourage welcoming changes in the favor of the customer value. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's move next.
All right. So responding to change over following a plan. So this was again traditionally what was happening. We would spend a lot of time discussing requirements, finalizing requirements, signing, defining the scope of work, and then signing it off, and then baselining it. And once it's baselined, we create our cost and budget plans, resource plans out of that, and then since we have already spent enough time and energy getting these approved, we would spend all of our energies sticking to that plan, no matter if our project becomes irrelevant or obsolete from the market by the time we will reach the market. So this is what used to happen. But again, today, what we are experiencing is the things are changing very often. There are new technological advancements every now and then. There are new um, developments happening in the world. And since we are way more connected worldwide than we were ever before, there are a lot of other outside factors like petrol prices, travel restrictions, and all that demands a lot of changes. So we should be open to change. We should be open to adapt to the change and respond to it in a timely manner instead of focusing just on the project plan. The project plans, um, yes, we can still have them, but the idea is whenever a change happens or there is a need for change, we should not be resistant to the change. This is generally what our behavior is. Um, but what Agile says is you should be open to the change, see the impact, and analyze it, and then adjust accordingly. Traditionally, in traditional project management, change is something which is considered bad. It's not always bad. Change is for good. Um, there is a reason why the change needs to be done, and that reason needs to be discussed and collaborated with the customers and can be applied. Even late in the project, change can happen. Haitham, you have anything
Yeah.
to add?
Yeah, I agree, of course, and actually, yeah, since also for the uncertainty, it's not about accepting change. Responding to change is not accepting any change. Okay, so actually, you're going to analyze the change, you're going to check whether the change is in the customer advantage or not, and you're going to collaborate with the customer to accommodate such change for the customer advantage. Okay, so you're going to see a lot of things, and there's changes that having a high priority and other changes that can be actually neglected. So you're going to check, and based on the value, you're going to decide whether to follow the plan or to adopt the change.
Yeah.
Okay.
The idea is not to resist the change to start with. Okay. So these were the four main values, core values, and then we have 12 principles. So we will quickly go through these because these are like kind of extension, and most of people, I believe, we have already experienced most of these or we have worked with. So the first one is satisfy the customer. So customer needs, the product is built for the customers or the end users, and we need to satisfy their demands instead of us pushing things down their throat. We need to be more in a collaborative environment with the customers and have them engaged throughout the process. So this is where the customer centricity also come into play. We should welcome change. We should be open to change. As Haitham highlighted, it's not about accepting every change. We need to assess the change, assess its impact, and if it's something which is good for the product or good for the customer or good for the business, it should be added. We should not wait for the formal, like the way in traditional project management is done, like wait till the end of the project and then this will be added as a change request. If it demands a change now, why not? It should be able to, we should be able to do it. Deliver frequently. This is very important. The project, we cannot love, like if it's a 2 years project, we cannot let the customers wait for 2 whole years to deliver something to them. We can break it down into smaller iterations, have a product ready, and then build it with clients, build it with customer. We show them the working product, and then have their feedbacks, have their comments on it, and then have other considerations like what is happening in the market. We inspect, adapt, and scale. That's the way we deliver, and we deliver frequently in smaller iteration. Working together as a team and with the customer internally and externally, this is very important to have a collaborative culture, collaborative environment where everybody gets to share his thoughts, gets to share his feedbacks, and it's heard, it's evaluated, added. So everybody works as a team, even if it's internal or external, with the stakeholders, with the customers as well. And in order to do that, we need to have trust and support between individuals. This is to create motivated teams. And the only way you can do that is by showing support and trust. Hear what the team members have to say. And if it's something valuable, even if it's from junior, it really doesn't matter. What is beneficial for the product, what is beneficial for the project. Everybody should be open and able to express his views on that. Face-to-face conversation. So what Agile says is the best mode of interaction is face-to-face interaction. Face-to-face does not mean physically. It can be like what we are doing over Zoom. So the point is the close collaboration or close conversation. It doesn't have to be physical, but this is the best, one of the best mode of communication, when you can just, instead of exchanging emails or text message, why can't you just pick up the phone or talk to the person directly? So that actually speeds up things and helps with a lot of clarity throughout the project with the communication. Working software, again, this ties back to the point number 3 as well. We need to build a working product, and then we inspect, adopt, get feedback, and scale. Keep scaling it till we reach the maturity that is required to deliver the product. So the idea is to create a working product as soon as possible, and then we take it from there. Sustainable development. One of the key areas which Agile stresses on is to have sustainable development, like the pace of the development, the delivery rate, or the productivity. There should not be many fluctuations in that. So it's not like sometimes your team is performing high and the other times the performance is very low. We should aim to have an environment where the development is very sustainable. So this is something which we achieve over the time with the team. There is a lot more detail to it, but what Agile principle says, your development should be sustainable, and there shouldn't be like that many fluctuations in that. Continuous attention. Haitham, do you want to take up these last 2-3 points?
Yeah. So continuous attention to quality and technical excellence. So actually, while we are working, we are delivering things incrementally and fast and so on, but we have to take care about the quality and the technical excellence, because if the quality is not there, then actually the things that we're going to deliver, it would have broken quality, and this actually will impact the agility very badly. Maintain simplicity. While the team are thinking together, they have to reach the simplest solution to reach a certain value. And this is actually something very important, to deliver something that is the user experience is very simple and the idea is very simple. If the idea is very simple, then you will have small time to deliver it, okay, and finally it will reach the goal, and it would be very usable and maintainable. Of course, the team has to be self-organizing teams. Self-organizing teams means that they are cross-functional. It's a small team. They can take the tasks themselves. They can take the responsibility of the product, and they can deliver the product. Okay. And of course, you should have a learning organization finally, where you are reflecting about what happened in each delivery, and you are improving and adjusting accordingly. Okay, so actually working in Agile is not that easy, because you're delivering a lot frequently, and you have to keep attention with the quality. You have to deliver things that are simple, and you should use the wisdom of the group, and you should have a learning team where they are reflecting and adjusting with every delivery or with every product increment.
All right, Haitham. Am I mute? Okay. So this was the Agile Manifesto in principle. So 4 values and 12 principles. Now we do have a case study to look into how this Agile Manifesto can be implemented in an organization, and how an organization can leverage these 4 values and 12 principles. So I think Haitham, if you can take us through these next slides.
Yeah. So I'm going to speak about CGDM, and actually I'm working in CGDM as CTO. And what I would like to highlight, that Agile is not a destination; it's a way. Okay, so the organization has certain values and has certain direction, and it may use Agile or other methods to achieve their values and direction. Okay, so before adopting any framework or any practice, you have to understand the company values and the company direction, and then you have to check the other frameworks, values and direction, values and principles, and check whether they are aligned with the organization values and principles. If it is aligned, then you're going to adopt this framework easily. So in CGDM, this is actually the values of CGDM, and CGDM has value related to customer satisfaction. CGDM actually is working in the medical domain, medical solutions domain, and it's very important for CGDM that the customers are satisfied, and also it has to be compliant with certain standards related to healthcare standards. So we have 2 values, and these 2 values actually are competing with each other. And while you are trying to satisfy the customer, you have to be aligned with certain standards. So, and actually from the values in the CGDM group, there's an answer when there is a conflicting relationship between the customer satisfaction and the compliance. Then you have to do certain values. You have to apply certain values. First, you have to respect. You have to respect that this is the customer needs, and also you have to respect that this is the standards that you have to follow. You have to have personal and professional development for the standard and the requirements. You have to understand the standards very, very well. And also you have to understand the customer needs very, very well. And based on this understanding and respect, then there should be a synergy. Okay, so there is certain teams working in governance and so on, and there is other teams working in delivering the functional requirements of the customer. And there should be a synergy. This synergy is based on respect and based on knowledge of what the customer needs and what are the standards to be followed. And based on this synergy, there should be innovation. Okay, the team will reach something innovative that is reaching the customer satisfaction, and also it is compliant with the standards. And all of these actions has to be grounded by ethics. So this is actually the company values. And if you see these values in CGDM, you will find that it is aligned with Agile values. So in Agile, we are speaking about the individuals and interaction. It's covered in the synergy part. And you are speaking about customer collaboration. It's related to customer satisfaction. And all of these interactions and innovation and so on, you're going to find it that it's related to working software, and it's related to responding to change. So when you find the values of the company is related to a certain framework, then you can decide that this company is an Agile organization, and it will adopt, for instance, entrepreneurship culture. And this is actually what CGDM applies. Since the values of the group is aligned with the Agile Manifesto, then it adopts Agile as its framework to deliver business to the clients. So the most important thing, Agile is not a destination, it's a way, and this way has to be chosen carefully by the organization, and the organization has values and also principles and a direction, and it chooses the framework that suits its direction and values. Okay. So would you please, Jamil, turn the next slide? So this has actually impacted a lot of things. Yeah, this has actually impacted how the organization is structured. Okay, so we need to deliver values to the customer very, very fast. So there's actually the Conway's law, and it states that the structure of the software will mirror the structure of the organization. Okay, so if you have an organization that having a lot of developers working together and so on, then you're going to have most likely a monolithic application, a huge application where everything is coupled. Okay, but if you have an organization that understands how I'm going to deliver values to the customer, I'm going to divide the teams based on customer centricity, then we can have modular, or we can have microservice architecture where we have a very small products, and this product is aligned to a certain customer. Okay, and this has actually impacted the structure of the company. We have business units, and these business units are self-organized, cross-functional, and it's actually targeting a certain product goal, either this product goal related to a certain medical app or medical insurance app, or whatever apps that's helping in the medical application industry. And this has actually impacted the management role. Will you please, Jamil? So actually, we have now a lot of teams, and all of these teams are self-organized and cross-functional, and they have certain product strategy, product roadmap, product goals, and they have the focus on this. So the management role is not actually about thinking, it's much more about supporting and empowering teams, okay? And trying to having a system where the Keynesian culture or the continuous improvement is there, and how to motivate people and how to make them having more competencies, having more skills, okay? So the role of the management, it became something different. It's much more supportive and empowerment for the teams, and coaching and mentorship. But finally, the teams themselves, they are thinking together, and all of this actually to unleash their power and to have the wisdom of the group. Okay, so the management became behind the team. Actually, the teams are taking the lead, and the management are there to support them, to think with them. But finally, they will never impact their autonomy. Okay, so the team, they are trusted and self-organized, so they can deliver things. And if there's a problems, they can consult the management team, and still they are empowered, and still they can decide by themselves. This doesn't mean that there is no checkpoints or there is chaos. Okay, so you have boundaries actually for the whole teams. You have boundaries in the strategy from the company, and the values actually to be exercised. And we have checkpoints between the management and the team to assure that they are moving in the right track and they are delivering the right goals. And this is, of course, impacted also the HR, the Agile HR. Will you please, Jamil, move to the next slide? Well, actually, you have to design the career path in a way that actually you don't want actually competition between the members. So you're going to think about how this long-lived team will work together in a long journey, and they can develop their skills, and they have to move in their career path without competing with others. And actually, this has actually raised a lot of interesting thoughts about that. How to enable effective performance, how to have continuous feedback between the team members, how they're going to select their performance. They will select it themselves because they are empowered, and how they are continuously providing feedback in a respectful way, so that they're going to have more skills and actually to improve continuously, personally and professionally, and finally to deliver the goals that they have to achieve. Okay, it impacts this. And previously in the performance, when you do like appraisal or something like that, you do it like yearly. But if you apply agility in HR, it would be continuously. Every time you're giving a code or you're giving a feedback to a member so that he can improve, you can do this every sprint to assure that the teams are improving and they are delivering something valuable. Of course, this will impact the learning and the development. The team themselves will own this, so they can for instance decide what would be their learning path and what would be the training track and so on. And also there would be like a cross learning between different teams. Okay, and of course this impacts also the talent acquisition. You have to choose the talent that fits in that culture, and it should be a learning person. And of course this will impact every single thing in the organization, so that you're going to have the organization running these values, adopting these values, and also working together to achieve the outcomes and the goals and the objectives. Okay, so this is in a nutshell the a business case that is applying the Agile Manifesto and principles, and how this impacted every part in the organization. It impacts the organization structure, the management role, and even the HR, and even more. Okay, so by this I finished the business case. Yes.
All right, thank you, Haitham, for this case study. I think this concludes our session for the day. Any questions from anyone in the audience?
I think we started with Arif and we ended with Arif.
There was someone in between, but I didn't. Arif, your feedback, any comments from your side? Since you are the only one, you are the royalty right now.
Yeah, I have some small doubts regarding this. Actually, how do we ensure the synergy between the teams and the other parties? Like, for example, in your case study, you showed compliance team and the development or the technical or developers. So how do we maintain synergy? We don't have much documentation in this agile methodology. And how do we communicate with the compliance or other teams? How is it done in real time?
Okay, Haitham, you want to address this?
Well, yes, also I would like to know your thoughts, Jamil, but I will tell you, Arif,
Yes.
how this starts, how the thing starts. So you're going to have high level like company strategy, okay, and you have a product strategy aligned with that company strategy. So, and you're going to have product teams. All of these product teams are aligned from the business level, not from the technical level. Okay.
Okay.
And there should be like milestones across these teams if they are working on the same portfolio. Okay. So it means like in that sprint, all of these teams will deliver this part, and we are delivering this part to achieve that goal. Okay. So the alignment is actually from business level, not from the tactical level. The tactical level, actually, there should be like communities and other kind of stuff to discuss this with the teams. Okay.
So,
but yeah.
Sorry. So basically the alignment will happen at the sprint planning event itself, or
and the refinement before that, and also and before that
product
also
backlog refinement stage.
Yeah, and before that also, you should have like a roadmap and a strategy. Okay, and it has to be high level. Okay, so I have a portfolio strategy where there's multiple product strategies that they're going to deliver this in that quarter, and they're going to deliver this goals in these sprints. Okay, this is the alignment from business point of view. Okay. The government
so will
has.
There be so they will so this may result in some complexity in the end, right? But suppose the developers have understood the product backlog in a different way, and they have developed it, and during the next review or in the complaints came to know that okay, this is not meeting the criteria, then how will we it will go back and they will have to go back and redo the things, right? In
Now
that
the
case,
point,
how
you have different checkpoints in Agile, and maybe this problem may happen, okay? And if such a problem happens, then the compliance has to be there in the daily standard, for instance.
Yeah. So
and they have
you involve them early.
involve them early, yes.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
To assure
Yeah,
this
that was
understanding.
my question actually. Yeah. So at what? So they will be. So there is a provision that they can be involved in stand-up meeting also.
This is what we were calling as customer collaboration. So you need to have them involved early and have their collaboration before it's too late, and then they come and try to crash the project. So see, this is the thing. So there is another way of doing this. There is a bottom-up approach as well. So what Haitham was saying was kind of a top to bottom. Like you start with the culture and the hierarchy and all, and then there's a bottom up. You have to actually sometimes kind of trial and error thing, do trial and error thing, and see what works for you. Based on my experience, we started with the ground up approach. So we started with one team, and then we started doing it, and then we scaled it up, and then we involved other teams and other departments as well. So that's how we did, because I'm talking about the agile implementation. So this ties to our topic as well. Instead of going and convincing the management and then transforming the things from top to bottom, it takes a lot of time, and there are a lot of issues. And then your question as well, it's just more about identifying whoever can impact on your project, like identifying key stakeholders. Compliance becomes a key stakeholder in these kind of projects, so just involve them early. Have them give their feedbacks on the time, so that gets into the daily sprint, or it goes into a sprint planning, and then you kind of roll it out as the product is being developed. So they don't have we avoid the situation where they come in at the end and they say no, this is not compliant with the compliance standards, and then we have another issue.
Okay. One more thing, and we don't have this obligation of contractual negotiation and all. So in that case, how we will smoothly do the scale up, scale down whenever needed? So how do we manage the cost point of view? How will we manage it?
Okay, I will tell you what happens in Agile actually. And you have different ways of doing contracts, and there is contracts which are fixed contracts, and there is time and material contracts.
So
okay?
TNM will be mostly useful then.
Would be mostly useful,
yeah. Even so, I would like to add something here. Even with the fixed contracts, it's still possible. I've tried it myself. So this is generally a misconception that we have a fixed contract here and we cannot just inspect and adapt with the things. And see, what you need to do is you need to see, first of all, I'm no, if you're coming from traditional project management, you know the project constraints, 3 constraints, cost, time, and what was the third one? Requirement, scope. So you need to understand which one of these 3 is critical. Let's say for a project which has a dead end, so there is a deadline that you have to meet, it cannot be extended, so that becomes your project constraint. Then you play with your scope and your budget. So maybe you add more resources, you increase the budget, you crash the project, and then you try to experiment there, but your cost, your project timeline becomes very fixed, so you cannot play with the time. You can play and experiment with the scope, so this is where, so the iteration will happen in scope and cost. So timeline is kind of fixed, and similarly for a project where scope cannot be compromised, this is like we have to meet it, then we play with time and cost. So It can still be done. It becomes a bit tricky. There are other details to it as well, but it's not like it cannot be done with fixed project. This is what my point of view is. I don't know if Hartham will agree or not.
I agree, and there is also, I remember that I've read this where you can make like a fixed contract for the first 3 sprints, and this will give you like a clarity about the team velocity and other kind of stuff, and then you can make another fixed contract for the rest of the requirements. So you can make it like 2-phase contracts, something like that. Or you can apply the time and material. It's also it's very flexible. But the point is some companies, they feel like that the fixed contracts is much more profitable. Okay, so you're going to get a lot of profit, but actually it's highly risky, and this is actually will create the friction between and will bring actually the contract negotiation in place, because actually I would like to finish things fast, and I don't care about your requirements, you change requirements actually. We're going to be like, it wouldn't be like a win-win situation. It would be, one of us will win and the other one will lose.
Yeah, at the end of the day, since we talked about the customer satisfaction, right? The customer centricity. You engage the customer and then you just let them decide, okay, this has an impact on the time, and your timeline is like in my example that I gave, your timeline is your constraint. Let's say the example of Qatar World Cup, football for the World Cup. There is a time to it. They have to finish the stadium construction before that that time. So time is very important here. They cannot extend it. We did a project for a company, a telecom company in Saudi, and the project was something which was going to be presented in their AGM, which was like announced months ago. And all of their stakeholders were coming there, and this product was going to be presented in that AGM. That AGM cannot be rescheduled. So that project has to be delivered on time. Now, if there is a scope that has to be added, that is going to impact the timeline. You explain it to customer and then let them decide. Okay, either we have to cut the scope, or we need to find a way here, or we need to find more time. What do you want to do? Or if we want to add more resources, we need to crash the project, it costs more and all. So this usually happens with the client. Most of our banking clients, they have fixed projects. Even in my organization, they have these compliance requirements and all for budgeting and all. So we have to sign a fixed contract, and then we do things in an agile or Scrum manner inside that fixed contract wherever possible. Some of the things we still have to do in traditional project management. So you can go for a hybrid approach as well to start with, and then gradually improve from there. But it becomes tricky. You have to adjust based on the particular scenario.
Okay. Thanks, Jamil. Thanks, Haitham.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Only me.
If I was you, this was a golden opportunity. So we still have like 3 minutes to go. We took like 10 minutes extra, and we kept 10 minutes for QA. So we still have like 3 minutes before wrap up. If you have anything, feel free. Otherwise, we can close.
Yeah, I think we can close then.
All right.
Okay.
Haitham, any closing comments or anything from your side?
Well, the most important thing is that, what I have stated is that Agile is not a destination. Okay, it's a way. Okay, so, and it's not a target by itself. So, not because all of the organizations moving to agility, then I have to move to agility. I have to understand my organization values, the principles, the direction, and based on that, I will choose whatever makes the company reach the objectives and the targets. It may be agile or maybe other frameworks. It is fine. Okay, so I choose the way, And it's very easy to choose the way. Actually, check the values and the principles of every way, and check the organization values and principles. If it matches, then the framework, most likely it would be very good for and matches the organization needs.
Exactly. So I would like to add on this as well. So see, the issue is, which I also came across a few times, when you tell people about Agile, or generally people think that Agile is something which is anti-traditional project management. It's not. We never say that the traditional project management is bad. There are still some projects that needs to be done in traditional project management, and there is nothing wrong with that. There are still a lot of organizations. You won't find that there are many organizations that claim to be pure Agile. There is nothing like pure Agile. There are still organizations who are doing some things in traditional project management and some things in Agile. There are organizations that are doing more things in Agile and less things in traditional project management. There are organizations who are working only in traditional project management and not at all in Agile. So it again goes back to the way your organization is structured and the way your the kind of nature of projects that are being done, and you based on those things you decide. Even in my organization, there are some operational things, some things with banking clients that are being done using the traditional project management approaches, and some of the other projects are more on Scrum and Agile. So it's based on the project nature. Doing a project that demands traditional project management in Agile without having any benefits whatsoever is a waste. Okay. Similarly, doing an Agile project that demands being an Agile in a traditional project management way, where you will face a lot of change requests and all, and with the sign-offs and approvals, revising plans every time, right? It's gonna be a nightmare. So you need to decide at the end of the day what your project demands, and then you use the right approach. There is nothing wrong with doing things in traditional project management, waterfall or Agile. So this is what I think Agile community is more open to, because we stress on inspect and adapt. So if your project demands it to be done in waterfall, so be it, no issues. Okay, at the end of the day, whether it's Agile or waterfall, it needs to deliver value. If it's not adding any value, it's basically worthless, useless. All right.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Perfect. So Arif, as I mentioned, this is like a weekly episode, so we will be announcing the next date. If you are not already there, you can sign up to our meetup page for free. I will put the link in chat. The only thing is you will just have to make a free account, and any future events, we are planning to host more events in future. We have other speakers coming in as well, hopefully soon. So you can just sign up, and if there is any event announced, you will get the notification, and then you can easily be there. Okay. This is just my try to make you available in the next events as well. Right.
Yeah, mostly.
If you think this was helpful, feel free to share with your colleagues and all. The recording of this will be available on our YouTube channel. So I will put it on our LinkedIn event. I don't know from where you connected with us. So hopefully it will reach you and you can share with your circle if you think this was helpful.
Yeah, I connected from LinkedIn actually.
All right, I will post it there, inshallah.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you, Haitham, for being with us.
Thanks, Jamal.
Thank you.
Thanks.
See you in the next one.
Yeah, okay, bye.
Take care. Bye.